AITA going to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name. It started innocently enough. I was midway through my third year of university, balancing a rigorous course load while managing a part-time job at the campus bookstore. Life felt like it was on the right track. My grades were solid, my professors respected me, and I was in a loving relationship with my boyfriend, Mark. We had been dating for about 5 months, and he was a genuine source of support and happiness for me. We shared dreams of the future, often talking about the life we wanted to build together, the adventures we hoped to embark on, and the family we wished to have one day. Home life, however, was a different story. My parents were always a bit overbearing, the kind who checked my phone and imposed curfews even when I was well past the age where that was acceptable. I brushed it off, chalking it up to them being overprotective. But there were underlying issues that I was oblivious to, issues that would soon come crashing into my world like a tidal wave. For as long as I can remember, I never had a key to the mailbox. It seemed like a minor inconvenience, one that barely registered in the grand scheme of my daily life. My parents always said they would take care of the bills and any important mail, and they didn't till they didn't. I trusted them completely, never questioning their intentions or their actions. They were my parents, after all. How could I have known that they were capable of such betrayal? One Friday afternoon, as I was planning to meet Mark for dinner, my parents called me into the living room. The serious look on their faces immediately put me on edge. They began to lecture me about the financial impracticality of moving out. They were adamant that staying at home would save me money, that it was the logical choice. At first, I thought this was another attempt to keep me under their roof and away from Mark, whom they never approved of. I couldn't have been more wrong. As the conversation escalated, the truth came tumbling out. My parents had been using my name to take out credit cards and loans. What started as a few $100s quickly spiraled into thousands. They managed to keep up with the payments initially, but their financial situation took a turn for the worse, and they fell behind. Now, I was staring at a colossal $60,000 debt in my name. My world spun as I tried to comprehend the magnitude of their actions. They had not just borrowed money, they had borrowed my future, my potential, my freedom. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. The trust I had in my parents shattered instantly. I demanded that they clear the debt immediately and also allow Mark to stay over as a small concession. Their response was a flat-out refusal. They claimed they didn't have the money and accused me of trying to manipulate them into changing their house rules. The conversation turned into a shouting match, filled with accusations and tears. I couldn't believe the people who had raised me, who were supposed to protect me, had done this. Devastated and desperate, I called my Aunt Lydia. She had always been the black sheep of the family, living her life on her own terms and often clashing with my parents. When I told her everything, she was horrified and immediately offered me a place to stay. She also bombarded me with stories of other kids who had been in similar situations, their lives derailed by parents who misused their identities and credit. She showed me articles, Reddit posts, and forums filled with similar tales of betrayal. It was both comforting and terrifying to know I wasn't alone. Aunt Lydia drove home a crucial point. I needed to take control of my life and my future, even if it meant making difficult decisions. After a sleepless night and a long, tearful conversation with Mark, I decided to go to the police. Reporting my parents was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. They were my family, but they had also betrayed me in the worst possible way. The fear of the unknown was paralyzing, but the thought of letting them ruin my future was even more unbearable. The police took my statement and began their investigation. Within a few weeks, my parents were arrested and charged with identity theft and fraud. The community was in shock, and my parents were furious with me. They called me ungrateful, heartless, and selfish. The guilt was overwhelming, but so was the determination to not let their actions destroy my future. I had to remind myself constantly that I was doing the right thing, that this was the only way to reclaim my life. Moving in with Aunt Lydia was a whirlwind. Her home was warm and inviting, filled with eclectic art and a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. She helped me navigate the legal proceedings, and I started to see a therapist to cope with the emotional turmoil. My friends and Mark were incredibly supportive, but it was still a lonely and painful journey. Every night, I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how things had come to this. The betrayal cut deep, and the road to healing seemed endless. Through all of this, my university studies took a backseat. I had to defer my final year to focus on the legal battle and the immense task of rebuilding my credit. Aunt Lydia's advice and support were invaluable. She introduced me to a financial advisor who helped me start the process of disputing the fraudulent debts and rebuilding my credit score. It was a tedious, frustrating process, filled with endless paperwork and phone calls, but slowly, progress was made. Months turned into a year, and slowly, things began to improve. The court ruled in my favor, and while my parents faced legal consequences, some of the debts were forgiven. The rest, I would have to work to pay off, but it was a start. The relief was palpable, but the scars of the experience were still fresh. I had lost so much time, so much trust, but I was determined to move forward. My relationship with my parents was irrevocably damaged. I visited them a few times, hoping for some semblance of reconciliation, but each visit ended in arguments and accusations. They couldn't understand why I did what I did, and I couldn't forgive them for the position they had put me in. It was a painful, toxic cycle, and eventually, I had to distance myself for the sake of my own sanity. Despite everything, I graduated from university, albeit a year later than planned. The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming. Mark and I found a small apartment together, and though it was a tight squeeze financially, it felt like freedom. We were finally able to build a life together, free from the shadow of my parents' mistakes. The experience changed me in ways I couldn't have anticipated. It made me resilient and self-reliant. I learned to stand up for myself and to value my own well-being above all else. It also brought Mark and me closer. His unwavering support was a beacon during my darkest times, and we grew stronger as a couple. Together, we navigated the ups and downs of young adulthood, celebrating each victory and supporting each other through every setback. Looking back, I don't regret going to the police. It was the only way to protect my future. My parents' actions were a betrayal of trust, but they also propelled me into a journey of self-discovery and strength. I learned that sometimes, doing the right thing means making the hardest choices. And in the end, those choices shaped me into the person I am today. Mark and I settled into our new life, our bond deepening with each shared experience. We navigated the challenges of young adulthood together, finding joy in the simplest moments, cooking dinner side by side in our tiny kitchen, exploring the city on weekends, and dreaming about the future. We created our own traditions, our own little world, where love and respect were the foundation of everything we did. I started a new job at a marketing firm, and though the entry-level position was demanding, I was determined to prove myself. My colleagues were supportive, and I slowly began to rebuild my confidence. The lessons from my ordeal with my parents had made me stronger, more focused, and incredibly determined to succeed. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the structure and routine it provided. Aunt Lydia continued to be a guiding force in my life. She encouraged me to pursue my passions and to never let the past define my future. With her support, I started taking night classes in creative writing, something I had always dreamed of doing. Writing became an outlet for my emotions, a way to process the trauma and transform it into something beautiful. I poured my heart into my stories, each word a step towards healing. One evening, while Mark and I were curled up on the couch, he proposed. It was a simple, heartfelt moment, free from the grand gestures of a typical engagement. He slipped a delicate silver ring onto my finger and promised to stand by me through thick and thin. Tears filled my eyes as I said yes, knowing that despite everything, I had found someone who loved me unconditionally. Our love had been tested by fire, and it had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever. Our wedding was a small, intimate affair, held in Aunt Lydia's backyard. Surrounded by close friends and family, we exchanged vows under a canopy of twinkling fairy lights. My parents weren't there, a painful reminder of the rift that still existed. But as I looked into Mark's eyes, I felt a profound sense of peace and hope for the future. We danced under the stars, surrounded by the warmth and love of those who had stood by us through it all. As the years passed, we built a life filled with love and laughter. We traveled, explored new hobbies, and supported each other's dreams. I published my first collection of short stories, an achievement that felt like a testament to my journey and growth. Mark's career flourished, and we eventually bought a cozy house in a quiet neighborhood, a place we could truly call our own. Our home became a sanctuary, filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. Despite the distance from my parents, I never completely gave up on the hope of reconciliation. I continued to send birthday cards and holiday greetings, small gestures to keep the door open. Sometimes, the wounds of the past seemed too deep to heal, but other times, I believed that with enough time and understanding, we could find our way back to each other. The journey towards forgiveness was long and fraught with difficulty, but I held onto the belief that healing was possible. One spring afternoon, years after the legal battles and heartache, I received a letter from my mother. Her handwriting was shaky, and the words were filled with regret and sorrow. She apologized for the pain they had caused and expressed a desire to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't a magic fix, but it was a start. The letter brought a flood of emotions: anger, sadness, hope, but most of all, a glimmer of possibility. Reconnecting with my parents was a slow, tentative process. We had many difficult conversations, each one peeling back layers of hurt and misunderstanding. There were tears, apologies, and moments of anger, but also glimmers of hope. Over time, we began to rebuild a fragile but growing bond, one based on honesty and mutual respect. It wasn't easy, and there were many setbacks, but I learned that forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. Throughout it all, Mark was my rock, always there to support and comfort me. His unwavering love gave me the strength to face each new challenge, and his optimism reminded me that the future was still full of possibilities. Together, we faced each hurdle, each moment of doubt, with a united front. His love was a constant reminder that I was not alone, that I had someone who believed in me, even when I struggled to believe in myself. Life is never without its struggles, but I learned that it's how we respond to those challenges that defines us. My journey from betrayal to empowerment was filled with pain and uncertainty, but it also revealed my inner strength and resilience. I discovered the importance of self-worth, the value of true love, and the power of forgiveness. These lessons became the foundation upon which I built my future. In the end, I found my own path, one that was uniquely mine. It was a path shaped by hardship, but also illuminated by the support of those who truly cared for me. My story is one of survival and growth, a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome and thrive. Each step forward was a victory, each moment of peace a triumph over the darkness of the past. As I sit here today, reflecting on the past, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the journey. I'm proud of the person I've become and excited for the future. The lessons I've learned have made me who I am, and I carry them with me as I continue to write new chapters in the story of my life. The future is bright, filled with endless possibilities, and I am ready to embrace it with open arms. Through all the trials and tribulations, one thing remained clear: my resilience and determination to forge a better life for myself. The debt, the betrayal, the emotional turmoil, all these challenges tested my limits but also revealed my strength. They taught me to value myself, to stand up for what is right, and to never let anyone, not even those closest to me, take away my dreams. Mark and I continued to build our life together. We adopted a dog, a lovable mutt named Rocky, who brought even more joy and companionship into our home. Rocky quickly became a part of our little family, his playful antics and unconditional love a constant source of happiness. We explored new hobbies, took up gardening, and even started a small vegetable patch in our backyard. It was simple, fulfilling, and everything I had hoped for. Professionally, I thrived. My career in marketing flourished as I climbed the corporate ladder, each promotion a testament to my hard work and perseverance. I never forgot the lessons I learned from my parents' betrayal, using them to fuel my drive and ambition. I became known for my integrity and dedication, earning the respect of my colleagues and superiors. My creative writing also blossomed. I published more short stories, some of which received critical acclaim. Writing was my refuge, a way to process my emotions and share my journey with the world. One day, I received an unexpected email from a literary agent who had read one of my stories in a magazine. She was interested in representing me and encouraged me to write a novel. The prospect was both thrilling and daunting, but with Mark's unwavering support, I took the plunge. I poured my heart into the manuscript, drawing from my own experiences to create a story of resilience, love, and redemption. The process was cathartic, each word a step towards healing. The novel was published to positive reviews, and the sense of accomplishment was indescribable. It was more than just a book, it was a testament to my journey, a symbol of everything I had overcome. The success of the novel opened new doors for me, and I found myself invited to speak at conferences and workshops, sharing my story and inspiring others who had faced similar challenges. It was incredibly fulfilling to know that my words could make a difference, that my story could offer hope and strength to others. As the years passed, Mark and I grew even closer. Our love deepened with each shared experience, each challenge faced together. We supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's successes, and comforted each other in times of sorrow. Our bond was unbreakable, built on a foundation of trust, respect, and unwavering support. We traveled to places we had always dreamed of, from the sun-kissed beaches of Hawaii to the bustling streets of Tokyo. Each adventure was a new chapter in our shared story, filled with laughter, wonder, and a deep appreciation for the life we had built together. Reconciliation with my parents was a slow, painful process, but it was also a journey of growth and understanding. There were setbacks and misunderstandings, moments of anger and frustration, but there were also moments of genuine connection, of slowly rebuilding trust and finding common ground. My parents eventually acknowledged the pain they had caused and made sincere efforts to make amends. It wasn't perfect, and it never would be, but it was a start. We began to create new memories, slowly replacing the hurt with moments of love and understanding. Looking back, I realized that the betrayal that had once shattered my world had also been a catalyst for my growth and empowerment. It had forced me to find my inner strength, to stand up for myself, and to take control of my own destiny. The journey was far from easy, but it was mine, and I was proud of how far I had come. As I sat on the porch of our cozy home, watching the sunset with Mark and Rocky by my side, I felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. Life had been a roller coaster, filled with highs and lows, but it had also been a beautiful journey of love, resilience, and self-discovery. I knew that whatever the future held, I was ready to face it with courage and grace, surrounded by the love and support of those who truly mattered. The story of my life was one of survival and triumph, a testament to the power of resilience and the strength of the human spirit. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the times might seem, there is always hope, always a way forward. I had learned to value myself, to cherish the people who truly cared for me, and to never let anyone dim my light. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms, confident in my strength and my ability to overcome anything that came my way. My journey was far from over, but I was no longer afraid. I had faced my demons, reclaimed my future, and built a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. I had learned that true strength comes from within, that the support of loved ones can carry you through the darkest times, and that forgiveness, though difficult, is a path to healing. My story was one of resilience, of finding light in the darkness, and of never giving up, no matter how tough the road ahead might be. And as I looked towards the horizon, I knew that the best was yet to come.